My mama was a good person. She was the best mom anybody could ever ask for. My mama, she woke up every day and went to work for us. For us. My mama died trying to take care of us. She died.
My God.
She was so good to everybody. A hardworking woman. So kind. If anybody needed help, she would give you her last. Give you the shirt off her back. She did not deserve that at all.
How many kids does your mom?
6. All 6 of us. Me and my
5 girls
siblings.
and 1 boy.
My brother.
And she's aware that she took us from her.
We met everybody at McDonald's. My mama always shared with everybody that she loved her kids, showed them pictures of us. We would come up here. We met her co-workers. We met the lady and everything. I don't understand why she had to kill her.
On July 10th, 2025, inside a McDonald's restaurant in Eastpointe, Michigan, a violent act unfolded that stunned the community and triggered a wide-reaching investigation. A 39-year-old manager, Jennifer Harris, was going about her normal shift when she was suddenly attacked in broad daylight. The suspect was not a stranger. It was her 26-year-old employee, Afeni Muhammad, a woman recently sent home from work, who returned hours later with a kitchen knife concealed in her clothing. Surveillance footage shows Muhammad entering the restaurant wearing a medical-style mask, walking directly toward Harris, and launching a brutal assault in front of employees and customers. Witnesses reported that she stabbed Harris approximately 15 times. The attack ended only when a customer in the drive-thru, armed and alert, fired a warning shot and intervened. He held Muhammad at gunpoint until police arrived. Muhammad was arrested at the scene without resistance. She was charged with first-degree premeditated murder and carrying a dangerous weapon with unlawful intent. Court records also show she is being charged as a habitual offender. Her bond was set at $25 million. During initial court proceedings, Muhammad referred to herself as Risen Phoenix and objected to a mental health evaluation. Nevertheless, a judge ordered a full psychiatric review to determine her competency to stand trial. That evaluation could reshape the direction of the case. This is the case of Afeni Muhammad. Welcome to True Crime Unmasked. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories. The show where we uncover the disturbing crimes tearing communities apart and the haunting truths hidden behind closed doors. These are real stories, real individuals, real consequences. Stay tuned for more captivating stories. Now, let's begin. Jennifer Harris was born and raised in the Detroit metropolitan area. Her early life was rooted in a working-class environment, and she developed a strong work ethic from a young age. Individuals who knew her during her formative years describe her as disciplined, respectful, and focused on her responsibilities. She carried these traits into adulthood, where they became defining elements of her character. Harris began working for McDonald's approximately 15 years prior to her death. What started as an entry-level position eventually evolved into a stable career. Over the years, she steadily climbed the ranks within the restaurant's operational hierarchy, ultimately becoming a manager. Her ascent through the company was not due to special treatment or external connections. It was attributed to a consistent work ethic, punctuality, and adherence to workplace standards. Colleagues and subordinates regularly described her management style as firm but fair. She was known to enforce rules without favoritism and maintained a professional demeanor in conflict resolution. Former employees reported that she operated her store with an emphasis on efficiency and structure, maintaining operational discipline without fostering hostility. Outside of her professional responsibilities, Jennifer Harris was a single mother raising 6 children. Her income from McDonald's served as a sole financial support for her household. It was reported that she frequently brought leftover food from the restaurant to ensure her children had enough to eat. Co-workers often referred to her as everybody's mom, a title that reflected her maternal behavior not only at home but within the workplace. She offered advice, intervened in disputes, and checked on employees struggling with personal challenges. Religiously, Harris was a devout Christian. She was known to be an active member of her church community, attending weekly services without fail. Her interests included gospel music, and she was occasionally involved in church choir and outreach programs. Her spiritual commitments also influenced her approach to people management, as she often spoke about forgiveness, second chances, and moral accountability in her local community. Harris had a reputation as someone who was willing to help others find employment. She often used her position at McDonald's to provide opportunities to younger or troubled individuals who needed a second chance. Several current and former employees confirmed that Harris advocated for hiring applicants with difficult backgrounds, as long as they demonstrated a willingness to work. Her death was considered a significant loss not just to her immediate family, but to a broader network of co-workers, community members, and religious peers. Afeni Muhammad was born in 1998 in the state of Michigan. Her early life included periods of instability, including reported family dysfunction and exposure to domestic conflict. Court documents and unofficial records suggest a background that may have included frequent relocations and limited parental supervision. These conditions may have contributed to the development of psychological complications later in life. Muhammad has a documented or alleged history of mental illness. Among the conditions reported in legal filings and law enforcement summaries are bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, and possible symptoms within the schizophrenia spectrum. Official confirmation of these diagnoses remains pending, as the court has ordered a comprehensive mental health evaluation to determine her competency and culpability in relation to the homicide case. Historical data from psychiatric treatment centers and arrest records suggest a pattern of noncompliance with prescribed treatments. Individuals familiar with Muhammad's behavior have stated that she often stopped taking medication or refused therapy, even when encouraged to do so by professionals or family members. On social media, Muhammad presented herself under the alias Risen Phoenix. Her accounts included written posts, artwork, and video content focused on personal rebirth, metaphysical transformation, and struggles with psychological suffering. Multiple posts reference spiritual warfare, inner conflict, and a sense of being chosen for a divine or apocalyptic purpose. Some captions included violent metaphors and incoherent language patterns. At the time of this writing, it is not confirmed whether these posts will be admitted into evidence in court. Muhammad's criminal record includes previous offenses that have not yet been fully disclosed to the public. However, the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office confirmed that she has prior charges sufficient to justify a habitual offender enhancement. This enhancement typically indicates a pattern of criminal conduct that includes prior convictions. While the exact nature of her prior offenses remains unclear, unofficial sources have mentioned possible involvement in misdemeanor assaults and disorderly conduct. On the morning of July 10, 2025, Afeni Muhammad reported for work at a McDonald's location in Eastpointe, Michigan. She was employed as a crew member, having worked at the location for a short time prior to the incident. At approximately 9 a.m., Muhammad began her scheduled shift. According to preliminary statements from staff and surveillance-reviewed timelines, she began displaying erratic or unusual behavior early into her shift. It remains unclear whether a verbal dispute occurred, but her conduct raised concerns significant enough for management to act. Manager Jennifer Harris, a 39-year-old longtime employee with over 15 years of service, made a decision to send Muhammad home for the day. The exact nature of the interaction between Harris and Muhammad at that moment remains under investigation, but there is no indication that law enforcement or emergency response was contacted at that time. Muhammad complied with the directive and exited the premises without physical confrontation. Surveillance timelines and police reports indicate that after leaving the restaurant, Muhammad did not go home immediately. Instead, she retrieved a kitchen-style knife from her personal vehicle. It is unclear whether the knife was already in her possession before her shift began, or she had left with the specific intention of acquiring it afterward. Following this, Muhammad changed her clothing. She put on a medical-style mask and gloves, altering her appearance significantly to avoid immediate recognition. In the early afternoon, Muhammad returned to the McDonald's restaurant. She entered the building on foot, bypassing the main customer areas and walking directly into the workspace near the kitchen. According to investigators and statements from on-site employees, Muhammad did not speak or announce her presence. She walked directly toward Jennifer Harris, who was in the kitchen area performing managerial duties. Without warning or verbal exchange, Muhammad brandished a kitchen knife and began stabbing Harris. The attack was rapid and forceful. Jennifer Harris was stabbed approximately 15 times. The assault occurred in full view of other employees and several customers. It unfolded in a matter of seconds, leaving little opportunity for intervention. Surveillance footage reportedly captured the entirety of the event, though the footage has not been released to the public due to its graphic content and the ongoing legal proceedings. Audio and video documentation confirmed the sequence of actions and the number of staff members in the vicinity during the attack. A customer positioned in the drive-thru lane witnessed the commotion through the service window. Upon seeing the violent act unfold inside the store, the customer exited his vehicle with a legally owned firearm. He fired one warning shot into the air to interrupt the attack. The sound drew attention from both customers and employees, and it temporarily startled Muhammad, who ceased the stabbing. The same customer then entered the restaurant and confronted Muhammad with his weapon. He ordered her to drop the knife and remain in place until authorities arrived. Muhammad complied and did not resist. Other employees used the opportunity to move toward Jennifer Harris, who was critically injured and unresponsive on the floor. Emergency services were dispatched to the scene. Officers from the Eastpointe Police Department arrived within minutes. They took Muhammad into custody without further incident. She was handcuffed at the scene, and the knife was recovered as evidence. The suspect was transported to the Macomb County Jail for processing. Jennifer Harris was transported to a nearby medical facility, but was pronounced dead shortly after arrival due to multiple stab wounds to the chest and upper torso. Medical examiners later confirmed that the wounds were consistent with a kitchen knife and that the attack was carried out with significant force. Crime scene photographs and police documentation describe a chaotic and violent aftermath. Blood was found splattered across the kitchen and food preparation areas, extending to the floor and several work surfaces. The scene indicated that Harris had little opportunity to defend herself or retreat once the attack began. Employees and customers on site at the time were described as visibly traumatized. Multiple staff members provided statements to investigators. One employee attempted to pull Muhammad away from Harris during the stabbing, but was unsuccessful until the armed customer intervened. Witnesses described Muhammad's facial expression throughout the attack as emotionless and cold. Staff reported that she did not speak, shout, or make any verbal threats during or after the assault. Her silence during the incident contributed to the overall shock experienced by witnesses. The customer who intervened was praised by law enforcement for taking swift action that likely prevented further injury or death. No charges were filed against the customer, as the use of force was deemed legal and necessary under the circumstances. Authorities confirmed the firearm was legally registered and used responsibly. In the aftermath of the incident, the McDonald's location was shut down for several days. Crime scene investigations were conducted by local and state law enforcement teams. The store remained closed for both forensic processing and out of consideration for the psychological impact on the employees. The Eastpointe McDonald's franchise issued a public statement expressing condolences to the Harris family and announced that trauma counseling and support services were being made available to all employees affected by the event. Several workers chose not to return to the restaurant, citing emotional distress and fear following the incident. Following the fatal stabbing of Jennifer Harris on July 10, 2025, in Eastpointe, Michigan, the community and Harris's family experienced immediate and profound shock. The crime occurred inside a local McDonald's restaurant and was carried out by an employee, Afeni Muhammad, who had returned to the store wearing a mask and carrying a kitchen knife. Harris, a mother of 6, was stabbed multiple times and later pronounced dead at the scene. The incident sparked intense reactions within the local community and initiated a complex legal process that is still ongoing. In the days following the attack, Jennifer Harris's family faced devastating loss. Her 6 children, now left without their mother, were at the center of community concern. Friends and relatives confirmed that Harris had been the primary caregiver for her children. In addition to her role as a mother, she was known for working tirelessly to support her family. The emotional weight of her sudden and violent death resonated deeply, not only within her immediate family, but also among the wider Eastpointe community. News of her death spread quickly through local and regional media. On social media platforms, such as Facebook and Instagram, tributes began pouring in. Former co-workers, neighbors, church members, and even strangers shared condolences and expressed sorrow. The tone across platforms was one of disbelief. Many people emphasized her long-standing work ethic and dedication to her job and children. Hashtags such as hashtag Justice for Jennifer and hashtag Remember Jennifer circulated widely, reflecting the viral nature of public outrage and grief. Shortly after her death, a GoFundMe campaign was launched to support Harris's children. The fundraiser, titled Jennifer Harris Legacy Fund, aimed to cover funeral expenses and provide for her 6 children's needs in her absence. Organized by a family member, the campaign received substantial traction within a short period. Donations from individuals both inside and outside of Michigan began accumulating rapidly. Within a few days, the campaign had raised thousands of dollars. Contributors left messages acknowledging Harris's impact on her community, describing her as kind, hardworking, and resilient. The campaign's success highlighted the public's desire to offer tangible support in the wake of the tragedy. The community organized a public vigil to honor Harris's life. The vigil took place in the parking lot of the McDonald's where the incident occurred. Dozens of residents, co-workers, and supporters gathered on site, many of whom wore shirts printed with Harris's photo or name. The event included a candlelight ceremony and a balloon release. Attendees prayed, sang hymns, and called for justice. Local clergy led brief speeches, while community leaders acknowledged the tragic loss and encouraged residents to support the grieving family. The vigil provided an opportunity for public mourning and symbolized the community's collective stance against the violence that had taken one of their own. Jennifer Harris was an active member of MT Zion Baptist Church, a congregation in nearby Detroit. The church leadership quickly organized a tribute service in her honor. During the service, church members reflected on Harris's faith, volunteer work, and her consistent presence in weekly worship. The pastor publicly condemned the violence that ended her life, stating that the attack represented not only a personal loss, but a spiritual wound to the church community. He spoke about Harris's commitment to raising her children with faith and perseverance, and emphasized the importance of standing together in times of senseless loss. Church leaders also encouraged their congregation to provide support, financial and emotional, to Harris's children, some of whom had previously attended church youth programs. The murder had significant effects on the operations and workforce of the McDonald's where Harris was employed. Several employees who witnessed the stabbing or were present at the restaurant that day reportedly requested transfers or resigned altogether. Staff interviews indicated that some were deeply traumatized and unwilling to return to the workplace, citing concerns over safety and emotional distress. In response, McDonald's corporate office issued a formal statement offering condolences to the Harris family. The statement described the incident as a tragic loss and emphasized the company's cooperation with law enforcement during the ongoing investigation. The local franchise owner took additional steps to improve safety and public perception. These included installing security cameras, increasing managerial oversight, and providing access to trauma counselors for staff members affected by the incident. Internal reviews were reportedly conducted to examine whether there were any missed warning signs leading up to the attack. On July 11, 2025, one day after her arrest, Afeni Muhammad was formally charged with first-degree premeditated murder. The Macomb County Prosecutor's Office also filed charges of carrying a dangerous weapon with unlawful intent and designated Muhammad as a habitual offender, second offense. These charges reflected both the nature of the attack and Muhammad's prior criminal record, which had not been fully disclosed at the time. The premeditated murder charge signaled the prosecution's intent to pursue the case as one involving clear planning and intent. This decision was based on evidence including Muhammad's alleged return to the restaurant after being sent home, her choice to wear a mask and gloves, and her possession of a large kitchen knife. All of these elements were presented as indicators of premeditation. Muhammad was arraigned in 38 District Court in Eastpointe. During the hearing, the presiding judge set bond at $25 million cash or surety, effectively ensuring that Muhammad will remain in custody during legal proceedings. The judge cited her as a public safety risk due to the violent nature of the attack and concerns that she could pose a threat if released. During the arraignment, prosecutors argued that Muhammad had demonstrated intent and deliberate action, further emphasizing brutality and public nature of the crime. They referenced eyewitness accounts and the suspect's own conduct during the attack to support their claim that the murder had been planned. Muhammad's behavior in court drew attention. She reportedly referred to herself as Risen Phoenix, a name she also used on her social media accounts. Observers noted that she smirked several times during the hearing and appeared disengaged from the legal process. At times, she refused to follow her attorney's instructions or respond directly to the judge's questions. This conduct raised immediate questions regarding her mental state and legal competency, leading to developments in the following hearing. On July 23, 2025, during a preliminary hearing, the court ordered a full mental health and culpability evaluation for Afeni Muhammad. This came at the request of the defense team, who raised concerns about Muhammad's ability to understand the legal proceedings and assist in her own defense. Despite the request originating from her legal team, Muhammad objected to undergoing the evaluation, telling the court that she did not believe it was necessary. The judge overruled her objection, stating that the evaluation was critical to ensuring due process. The purpose of the evaluation is to determine whether Muhammad is competent to stand trial, meaning she must understand the nature of the charges and be able to consult with her attorney in a rational manner. The next scheduled court hearing is set for September 3, 2025. At that time, psychiatric professionals will present their findings to the court. Based on their conclusions, the judge will determine whether Muhammad is competent to proceed to trial or whether she must first undergo treatment in a psychiatric facility. This hearing will mark a key moment in the legal case, potentially shaping the direction of the trial and the arguments presented by both prosecution and defense. If this story touched you deeply and made you question what's real, be sure to tap the like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. For more gripping true crime stories that unravel the hidden truths behind heartbreaking cases, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest episodes, investigations, and powerful conversations. Thank you for joining us on this journey to uncover the truth and fight for justice. Together, we can shine a light where it's needed most. Stay safe, stay alert, and we'll see you in the next story.